Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sanch, your host here on the Bodybuilding News Network. Welcome back to another episode. We're going to be talking about the 2023 New York Pro in the men's open bodybuilding division. So if you are interested in learning about the final top two as we look at who is placing or who is projected to place in the top two after prejudging here at the 2023 New York Pro. Definitely stay tuned. If you are new here, definitely consider subscribing as it does help this channel grow. And the videos here on YouTube are free and all it costs is a share. So definitely consider sharing this video with a like-minded individual. Now, as we go to the tail of the tape or the scorecards, however you want to say it, if you're a boxing fan or if you are like myself a bodybuilding fan, let's go ahead and take a little gander here at the top two. The projected, like I said, the projected top two coming out of prejudging, we have Mr. Beef Stu 97 on Instagram, aka Stu Sutherland, aka Stuart Sutherland, a brand spanking new pro after last year's 2022 USA's, winning that competition. Coming into this show, a definite favorite, especially after Carlos Thomas Jr. had to drop out for health reasons. That was unfortunate. We will see him later this season, hopefully. And in projected second place, no surprise here as well, Mr. Tonio Burton, aka he goes by a couple different things, but the Predator. It's actually, I just made that connection. That was Kai Green's nickname before Kai stepped away from the stage. Now, as you can see, this whole time of me rambling, we're looking at the front double bicep. And this is going to be, in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, an apples and oranges comparison. You have great arms on both gentlemen. Stu or Stuart is, in my opinion, and I think just overall larger. He's a larger competitor. He's got a little bit of height to him, and I'm sure that the hair choice for this show also helps him greatly. The chest and midsection are not as defined as Tonio's, but it does seem that they are larger. This isn't the best angle, but after receiving some threats online from NPC News Online, I've decided to not use their photos anymore, and I am trying to solely use Flex Magazine. So the front double bicep for these shots and all the shots have an interesting angle to them. So it is going to kind of pull away from the comparison, but we have to do what we can without receiving threats online. When you look at the legs as well, I think that they both look very comparable. Tonio having a slighter edge in the quad sweep. You can't really particularly see it with this angle. Again, it's not optimal, but the conditioning is comparable, maybe even giving it a little bit to Tonio overall with the crispness of this front double bicep. Moving to the front lat spread, this is another tough one. I think Tonio steals the shot with this Dexter Jackson-esque presentation of the front lat spread, the great flaring lats, the nice, well-defined, thick pectorals, the phenomenally conditioned and separated abdominals look phenomenal on him. The great quad sweep as well. Good set of calves as well. You can't knock a good set of calves. Now, with Stu, big, thick, full, good conditioning in some areas. The midsection, he went for a more extended midsection, which is actually how I do my lat spread, which no one cares, but that's just something that I can relate with. He has a great pec thickness, a good pec shelf. Reminds me of Kareth Bajo, who is projected to win the 212 division. We will talk about that later today. Midsection, again, we've talked about that. It's a little bit more extended to give it a little bit more thickness and width, or maybe taking the focus away from the midsection and applying that focus to the chest, shoulders, and arms. Good calves as well, probably even better calves than Mr. Tonio Burton. So did want to mention that. Great separation in the legs, a good sweep to it as well. Overall, a phenomenal top two so far. Side chest, not on the side that we want to see. If they were pointing it towards us, I think it'd be a little bit better of a comparison. But this one, I think Mr. Stu is probably stealing the shot with the thickness. Although Tonio is holding it up very strong with the side leg. Again, a very Dexter Jackson-esque look to that whole presentation, to that whole physique. Stu looking bigger on the top, Tonio looking bigger on the bottom, but Tonio isn't really giving up a lot of space, a lot of stage space as well with this upper body, with the side chest shot. I think that they're very comparable, giving the eyes go to Mr. Stu Sutherland, but I think that also could be because that the camera is closer to him and it is giving him that preferential treatment from the photographer. Of course, not intended. That's just the position that he probably got in the press box as there's probably some politics going on with that. Who gets the cool spot? Who gets the center spot? Who is the title photographer? Who has the right last name? Things of that nature, ladies and gentlemen. From the back double bicep, again, this could be a size game or could be a conditioning game. Tonio has a nice, crisp, crazy flow, tiny midsection, great, thick, dense glutes. Hamstrings could be a little bit more conditioned, a little bit more separated. I'd like to see that. Great calves. Bicep peak is phenomenal. Moving into Stu Sutherland, not as thick of muscle bellies when you look at the spinal erectors, the rhomboids, the upper back area. It's not as bubbly. It's not as 3D. The musculature isn't as well developed. It's not as mature as what Tonio's been able to develop so far in his very young 212 and then successful open career, being on the Olympia stage in 2 different divisions ever since turning pro in 2020, I believe it was. When you look at Stu Sutherland, brand new pro, great thickness to him. The flow from the lat to the midsection, I think, is very good. It's maybe not as insane as Tonio's, but Stu also has more size and more density. He takes up more stage space. So again, are the judges going to go with the bigger guy, or are they going to go with, potentially, no disrespect, maybe a more complete competitor in Tonio Burton? Moving into the lat spread, again, same conversation, but this is, again, Tonio starts to kind of separate himself with the thickness of the muscle bellies, the way those, especially the spinal erectors on the lat spread, a very Phil Heath-esque look to that back. The lats really wrapping around, and I think Stu just needs a few more years to better develop the back. I'd like to see him, it looks like if you look way at the bottom where those lats kind of they kind of make those like butt cheeks above the butt cheeks. That's something that Kai Green really had going. So in essence, maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, you could see a Phil Heath versus a Kai Green between these two. It just really depends on how much they're able to develop their physiques, how big they can get, how complete they can make their physiques. For this shot, I go with Tonio. I think my eyes go to Tonio, although he does look much smaller. I think a lot of that is a camera angle, and hopefully we'll get some more photos coming out in the future. From the side, this is, again, it's a hard one to give to Stu. Tonio has look at the size, look at the glute. Look at how the glute pops out. You don't see that a lot in the open league. You don't see that a lot in the 212 league. It's very phenomenal. Great structure, the flow, the thickness of the glute there, the drop in the hamstring. Everything is very well put together for Tonio. How he placed outside the top 16 at this year's Olympia, I think, is a crime. I think he placed in the bottom 5. He did not place very well at the Olympia for having such a beautiful physique. So that is my thoughts on the side tricep. Stu holding it down, very reminiscent of Ian Valliere somewhat. The tricep isn't particularly extended, but it is showing the complete physique. The chest maybe not as hard as we'd want to see. The midsection looks like we maybe caught him mid-breath, as it is a tiny bit, I don't want to say distended, because it's not, but it's not as tight as it probably should be when he's in the shot completely. Ab and thigh. This one I'm actually prefer Stewart here. I think that the midsection looks really tight. He lets the lats really flow out. There's not a lot of space between his head and his arms. Tonio looks like he's very crunched down to emphasize the abdominals and the separation there. the quad conditioning, the separation, the feathering, the cross striations, all these hot words. But I almost would go with Stewart more on this shot. I think the overall thickness is just greater. But yeah, I have to give this shot to Stu. And the most muscular, finishing off this video. Hopefully you have been entertained for this good 10 minutes. The intent was 8 minutes, but hey, if I'm rambling, if I'm talking and you enjoy it, that's what this is all about, is talking and having conversations with you fine people. Most muscular, I like this one as well. Again, I feel like I'm going with Stu on this. It's almost as if he got harder and harder when it came to this top two. Really starting to separate himself from Tonio in some shots, but also Tonio very much holding his own in other shots. So that will be my take from the top two. Will they give it to Stewart? Will they give it more probably to the safer pick to Tonio, as he is a multiple pro winner and two-time Olympia competitor? That is yet to be decided, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Sanch. As always, thank you so much for watching another conversation here on the Bodybuilding News Network, recapping the top two in the men's open bodybuilding division for this year's 2023 New York Pro. If you enjoyed this style of content, please leave a like. Like I said, YouTube is free, but this video does cost you a share, so please share this video with a like-minded individual, as it does help this channel and the algorithm promote these videos. Again, my name is Josh Sanch. As always, your host here on the Bodybuilding News Network. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.